You know, when you're just starving and a cheap, greasy, fast food burger is like incredibly tempting.
Oh, yeah. Even if you know you've got a great 5-star home-cooked meal waiting for you in just a few hours.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that tension, that urge for the quick fix versus the long-term reward is exactly what we're unpacking in today's deep dive.
Yeah, we're looking at a recent recorded address from Pastor Hu Zikang. He starts out talking about resisting temptation from a biblical standpoint, but then he unexpectedly pivots.
Yeah, into a critique of artificial intelligence and modern workplace culture of all things.
Right. And before we get too deep, we should make it clear to you listening that we are acting strictly as impartial guides here.
Definitely. We're just exploring the psychological and moral arguments presented in the source. We're not endorsing the theology or taking any political sides.
Exactly. So the mission today is to trace this really fascinating through line he draws from ancient scriptures straight into your office cubicle.
And he grounds this whole concept in, well, what you could call the ultimate no.
Right. This happens in the wilderness. He references Matthew chapter 4, where Jesus is fasting, he's basically starving, and Satan suggests he turns stones into bread.
Like the ultimate cheap fast food.
Yes, exactly. But instead of caving to that immediate physical need, Jesus sets a hard boundary. He says, worship the Lord your God and serve him only.
And he views this as a matter of what he calls supreme sovereignty.
Yeah. It's the idea that if you refuse to compromise on basic worldly cravings, you prove you won't compromise on the massive existential things either.
Because it's really a test of trust. Like if you truly believe the divine plan provides perfectly in its own time, then any immediate cheap alternative is just rendered completely worthless.
Exactly. And he argues this doesn't just apply to physical hunger, it applies to intellectual laziness too.
Which brings us to the AI part.
Right. He draws on his 35 years of experience to directly warn pastors against using AI to write their sermons.
He calls them canned central kitchen material, which is just a great phrase. Okay, let's unpack this for a second. Because pragmatically speaking, isn't AI just a helpful time saver? Like, if a professional is busy visiting the sick or running a community center, shouldn't they use AI to free up some time?
I mean, from a pure efficiency standpoint, yeah, it totally makes sense.
Right.
But Hugh argues that spiritual teaching isn't about transferring information efficiently. When a pastor outsources the struggle of thinking and writing to a machine, they lose the deep internalization of the text.
Oh, I see. So the cognitive friction of wrestling with the text is actually the spiritual process he's talking about.
Exactly. By bypassing that struggle, he says you're bypassing active engagement with the Holy Spirit.
Wow.
And he even flips the responsibility onto the congregation too.
Oh, really?
How so? Well, he challenges the listeners. He says if you just passively accept basic Sunday school level teaching, you're not keeping your leaders accountable, you're letting them take that shortcut.
That makes a lot of sense. And I mean, wanting the easy way out is such a deeply human trait.
Oh, absolutely. Hugh points out that even Jesus' closest student, Peter, fell into this exact trap.
Right, when Peter tried to talk Jesus out of his impending sacrifice because he wanted a safer, easier path.
Yeah, and he got heavily rebuked with, "Get behind me, Satan," because he was prioritizing human comfort over the difficult divine plan.
And this is where Hugh connects it to the listener's daily grind, especially that Monday morning feeling.
Right, that intense pressure at the start of the work week to just, go with the flow in a group setting.
Which leads to lowered boundaries, right? Like with money or alcohol or just letting the vanity of office applause invade your ego.
Exactly. It's what you might call the slow erosion of a coastline.
Yeah, I love that analogy. It's rarely one massive, dramatic moral failure. It's those small daily compromises where you tell yourself, well, everyone else is doing it.
And what connects the AI sermons to this office culture is the outsourcing of moral accountability.
Right, because whether you're handing your thinking over to a machine or your ethics over to the office crowd, it's the exact same shortcut.
Totally. But his advice for dealing with this is actually very grounded.
Yeah, he says you don't have to be a weirdo or some isolated outcast at work.
Right, you just need to do your professional work excellently, but maintain the wisdom to step away from the toxic elements of the culture around you.
So we've traced this concept all the way from rejecting stones turned to bread, to rejecting AI-generated sermons, to navigating Monday morning office politics.
It really all boils down to resisting the shiny, immediate shortcut in favor of long-term integrity. Because the ultimate test usually isn't some cinematic life or death dilemma.
No, it's hidden in the mundane, daily shortcuts we're offered. Which leaves a question for you to chew on as we wrap up today.
Yeah.
If the real test is in those small compromises, where are the canned AI sermons or cheap substitutes in your own life that might be quietly eroding your personal boundaries while you wait for the home-cooked meal?